Well, it's that time of year when productivity at offices all across America, it kind of plummets. Why is that? Well, we got two words for it: college basketball.
Yeah, we are talking about it today with Omaha's retirement strategist, Darrell Bryant. He's one of the area's leading financial advisors and retirement planners.
He also hosts his own weekly retirement radio show. Good morning, Darrell. Good to see you.
Nice to
Good
see
morning.
you.
Good to be here.
Great tips on your radio show this weekend. I caught a little bit of it.
Did you listen to some?
I did.
8 a.m. Saturday mornings.
That's right.
Yeah, if you have absolutely nothing to do, then tune in.
No, it's a great show.
Or do you
We'll
want
put you right back to
free
sleep.
advice?
But one of the things we were talking about is the basketball, and part of what makes basketball fun are all the brackets.
Right.
Picking the brackets
Sure.
and stuff, you know.
Sure.
And does it impact
So
productivity?
Mary's doing okay, I saw on the.
Mary's
she got one.
Mary's doing better, but that doesn't mean she's doing okay.
So who do you like at the end? I like Gonzaga.
I was going to say North Carolina.
I like North Carolina.
I would
But
like
South
to see
Carolina's
Gonzaga win.
defense is amazing.
Yeah.
But it is funny how
Anyway.
much time we're spending leading up to the first game of the tournament,
Right.
preparing for brackets. We have
Sure.
these like bracketologists who come on the show and talk about, you know, the analytics and looking at trends. I mean, it's a lot of time to try to put a decent bracket together.
It does take a lot of time. Imagine if you, I'm just here to say,
Okay.
imagine if you took that much time every year, just even that much time, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, looking at the stats and putting your teams together. And if you took that much time just reviewing your retirement plan and your 401k, allocation, and are we on track, and
I knew you were going to go there with this. Yeah.
Well, that's my job.
Yeah,
So
it is. But no, you're right. I can't. I check my retirement and my plans and my savings a couple times a year. I go on the app or on the website
Well,
and
good
see
for
what's
you.
going on.
Sure.
But I definitely put in more time with the brackets than I did my retirement.
yeah.
So why aren't people putting in the time or the work?
Well, it's not nearly as fun, I mean, nobody at work really wants to talk to you about your 401k, allocation, but they, stand around the water cooler talking about the
Right,
tournament.
that shot last night.
Yeah, and it's a little bit intimidating, isn't it? So the best thing to do would be to work with someone who can explain these things to you so that you know what you're looking at when you're looking at anything that has to do with your retirement. We're very flattered when people come into the office and they say, you know what, in this time I've spent with you, I've learned more about my finances and where I am in relationship to a successful retirement and coordinating Social Security and so forth and maximizing things. Proper allocation, learned what an index fund is versus a mutual fund, learned what volatility can do during retirement, et cetera. These are not difficult concepts at all. If you explain them, you take a few minutes. And so the most flattering thing for somebody to say when they stand up from my conference table is, hey, we have a handshake and thanks so much. I've learned so much, more than I've learned in 20 years elsewhere. And now we can actually have a reasonable dialogue. But it's a little bit intimidating if you go in there and you don't really know anything. So we like to start with at least some base information that a person ought to know.
I would say a lot intimidating.
It is.
Because for me and a lot of the people that I know, that is the reason why you're not making gains or you're not having that conversation, just because you feel like, well, I don't know the lingo.
Sure.
I don't know
Right.
if I've been doing all that I should have been doing this whole time. So many questions, and it holds you back.
It does hold you back. And I will tell you this, I have never in all my years had anybody tell me, I just still don't get it. I mean, everything you just said, I have no idea what you just said. But
Right.
you do have to break it down. Some of these things are not difficult terminologies, but you do have to just, and as soon as you stare at the phrase for a minute, you go, oh,
Yeah, I
of
get
course
it.
that's what that means.
Well, it's like
right?
when you're filling out your brackets, you don't know all these teams. You don't have
Sure.
time to watch all these teams. So
Yep.
you go on, you click the little link to see their winning percentage versus this, and you got to
Yeah.
study up on that stuff. How
Yeah.
often do you recommend that you should sit down with a financial advisor? Because you have money in different places. You got a retirement account, you got your 401k, you've got,
course.
if you're lucky enough to have a pension, you could have that. So putting that all together,
Needs to coordinate.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how often should you sit down with your financial advisor?
Well, let's look at it like, NCAA tourney, once a year at least. Don't you go through and you do what you do and you look at your brackets and you look at the, win-loss, et cetera. Would you go into next year's tourney and say, you know what, I'm just going to submit my bracket from last year?
Right. The coach has changed.
You probably
the
have just
players have
you
moved
might have
on to
just
the
as good a
NBA.
luck, but things change, right? With those teams, who's even going to be in the tournament, et cetera. You can be sure that over the next year things will change in the financial services industry. So to go into next year with the same data, it's not going to be the same data. We're going to be in an entirely different circumstance next year than we are this year. Terribly important to stay on track, and we know that people that work with a competent retirement advisor, somebody that specializes in this area, it is terribly, terribly important. If you'll do that, your probability of success goes through the roof as compared with just winging it and, gee honey, we're just doing whatever we can and just keep throwing some dollars in there. That's not going to cut it if you don't have purpose, and the stress level will never come down. You'll always wonder what you're doing. I guess we've got enough, and I'm 66, so there's my paper. That's not how you retire successfully.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line with this NCAA tournament, right? But I mean, the stakes really don't get much
Stakes
higher
are
than
much
with your own
higher.
retirement. And if you plan to retire, even in the next 5 or 7 years, it's time to meet with a financial advisor who really focuses on retirement.
That's right.
And Darrell's making it easy for you to get started.
The first 10 callers who get through right now will qualify for a complimentary retirement readiness review. So that's really where you get started. You just take, as Darrell has told us before, you take a shoebox with some of those key documents. You know where they are. It's stuff that you'd sort of take in for taxes or whatever, just some of those key figures. You don't have to know how they all work together, but you do have to call that number right now to take advantage of the offer. It's 402-932-2141, and just say, I was watching Darrell on the Morning Blend. I want that complimentary retirement readiness review. And then if you'd like to learn more about his business, it's dbryantretirementstrategies.com. He's here every Monday, but maybe it's the first time you're tuning in and you're seeing him. You're like, I like the guy with the beard. You can go to his website to learn more about him and his
The
whole
beard may
team.
go.
But we didn't ask you, who'd you pick for the Final Four? Who do you have?
You know, I like Gonzaga. I've always,
Yeah, Coach V is pretty good,
Yeah, you
yeah.
got to throw them in. North Carolina's, I mean, or either the Carolinas. I mean, it's easy to say now in retrospect,
Well, so
right?
you've named 3 out of the 4, Darrell.
Well,
You gotta
okay,
narrow it
so-
down
We
to
had
one.
them a
You
few
know,
weeks ago.
Well, okay, Creighton.
That
Nobody
ship
makes
sailed
it
early.
through.
Yeah, no,
Nobody but Mary.
Well, thanks,
you,
Darrell. Good
Darrell.
to see you.
We'll see you next
Guest of the Morning Blend starts